Today we're talking about everything ojos with Dr. Ernesto Collazo. Don't go away.
Live from San Juan, Puerto Rico, this is the Puerto Rico Business Broadcast. Now, here's your host, Daven Michaels.
Welcome to the Puerto Rico Business Broadcast. Today we're talking about eyes, and we have Dr. Ernesto Collazo with us. And I'm actually super excited about this interview for a lot of reasons. We're going to unpack that in just a minute. But Dr. Ernesto, tell us your Puerto Rico story.
Sure. I was actually born and raised in Puerto Rico. After high school, I went to the University of Pennsylvania for college and then medical school at NYU. And after that, I was really planning to stay in the States. I did my internship
A lot of people do that.
Philadelphia.
They go to school in the States and then they stay there.
Yeah, there's a lot of Latin American and Puerto Ricans in the U.S. Yeah. So when somebody graduates, especially from a good school, a good program, they find a job very quickly and a well-paying one at that.
But you came back to Puerto Rico.
Well, actually, I had originally stayed after I did my residency. I stayed as a professor at Hahnemann in Philadelphia and had opened a practice in Philadelphia part-time as well as teaching. But my wife got sick. She had a stroke when she was 33. She recovered fully.
Recovered.
But at the time, we were a young couple with a 1.5-year-old at home, and I was working all the time. And we decided, look, let's go back to Puerto Rico, where both our families were both born and raised here.
Help with the kids.
And to have our support system around.
Totally.
And I ended up coming back to Puerto Rico and starting from scratch after 15 years in the States. What helped was that I had been coming as a visiting professor all those years to lecture. And
so you had a network.
So I had a network of ophthalmologists and optometrists who already knew me as a key opinion leader. And so when I opened the practice here, they were like, oh, that's fantastic, because now I don't have to send my patients to the U.S. If they have a complex problem, they can stay here.
Yeah. And that's exactly what you want, right? You want your highly educated people to come back to Puerto Rico. And I think there's a lot of programs. We talk a lot about incentives and stuff, and I know you didn't come here from incentives, but like guys like me, it's incentives that attract us to the island, and it's great when somebody's here actually making a difference in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I mean, people may come here because of an incentive, but at the end of the day, they're bringing the knowledge, the expertise, and money, and they can make a huge difference.
I agree.
Because, like you just said before, most of the people who leave and get a high education, a high level education, don't come back. So the pool of people that stay here don't have that expertise, don't have that confidence in themselves that I can make it anywhere. I can have a huge company from Puerto Rico. No, they don't even think that way.
Right.
And when a lot of people come in who do think that way, who have been successful at a world-class level, that changes the mindset of people growing up here.
Absolutely.
Like, wait a minute, this guy lives here like I do.
Right.
What's the difference? I can do that too.
Yeah,
and I think that's been overlooked, but it's something that's been very, very important as part of this whole process.
I agree. So I just out of curiosity, my Uncle Mo was the smartest man I ever knew. He was a famous Beverly Hills doctor, prolific, but he didn't start like that. He was the son of a junkyard dealer, one of 10 kids, grew up incredibly poor, I believe he went to NYU, actually. And anyways, became pretty famous. And he was really an amazing guy and a mentor of mine. But what I found really interesting is he told me about the early days of his medical practice, and he had to hustle to get the business in the early days. Did you have to hustle? I know you had a network, but I bet in the early days...
Yeah, well, the thing is, most doctors don't have any training in terms of business.
Right.
And you find yourself running a business, a small business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you have to deal with all the issues of running a business. Yeah. Networking, growing your practice, getting new clients.
Marketing.
In our case, you have to have some kind of marketing, growing a network of people who refer to you while you're taking care of patients.
That's right.
And you're also new at that because you just finished your residency.
Totally.
It's very, very, very difficult. And it limits how well they do as doctors, because if they're not very successful setting up a practice, they can't see that many patients.
Right.
A doctor who goes out of business can't see patients because they're not in business anymore. So everybody struggles with that, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I bet a couple years of kind of getting the business going before it.
Exactly. I decided to take it upon myself to learn business.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of doctors assume that because they're smart and educated that they I can figure this out.
Just open the doors.
And just like
business
anything
will come.
else, you have to study it. You have to really,
Sure.
get back to the basics and learn the basics of it. So, so I did a lot of studying on my own to learn business from scratch and learn how to manage a business, and that helped me be successful faster because I just didn't take anything for granted. I said, I'm just going to learn this from scratch.
That's awesome. So we're going to talk today a lot about eyes. And what I want you all to know here today is you're going to learn a lot. And the reason why I have you on the show today was because I had an eye appointment with you. And most people, I think most people don't think about their eyes until they have a problem. Right, that's the reality.
That's exactly.
A lot of us, I think, especially at my age, I'm supposed to come in once a year probably to get my eyes checked, right?
Yeah, anything over 40 once a year.
Anybody over 40? What about under 40? Every few years?
Every few
years.
Yeah. Under 40 every couple of years.
Okay.
And most kids have to have their first eye exam by law when they start school in kindergarten or first grade.
Okay.
So after that, assuming you had that exam, which is again you predicated by law, then every couple of years, and then after 40, that's when things.
Things can accelerate.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. And the reality is, though, we really don't go to the eye doctor until all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, I can't see this as well, or I can't see far anymore. What's going on? Right. But really, for proper eye health, especially at my age, you do have to go in annually. So I went to an eye appointment with you, and I got checked out, and it was really a remarkable experience because you, and I'm sure you do this with all of your patients, you kind of sat me down and educated me on my eyes. You showed me my eyes, and then you educated me on my eyes and what you have to look out for, and et cetera, et cetera. And I thought it was so fascinating and interesting. It was the most I ever learned about eyesight ever. And I just thought, wow, I mean, you are a master of your craft. So I really wanted to have you on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you. And so before we started shooting today, we were talking about different processes, different things that you do. You're a surgeon. You do LASIK. What other surgeries do you do?
Surgeries for glaucoma, retinal problems. So in ophthalmology, we use a lot of lasers for different things.
Yeah.
So it's so a lot of the surgery we do is laser based.
Falls under
nowadays.
laser surgery.
So other than cataract surgery, I do all the other surgeries.
Got it. And then of course you do glasses and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I also have basically a general practice because it's convenient for the patients to be able to. Usually, what used to happen is they would come in and bring a family member for something really complex, and they go, "Oh my God, I would love to get my exam here. This is a really complete exam." And but I need glasses. My stuff is more basic, but do you provide that also? It's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to start doing that. So about 20 years ago, I started adding, glasses and everything else so that it's a one-stop shop for my patient base. Because you end up with a lot of family members who say, like I said, they come in just to accompany their parent or their sibling, and they say, this is the kind of exam I want. So, and I wanted to be able to provide that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a really cool experience. So at different stages in our lives, I suppose there are different things that we need to keep an eye on when it comes to our eyesight. So let's talk about that.
Sure. The three main causes of blindness are diabetic retinopathy, macular degeneration, and glaucoma.
Okay.
Now, all three affect either the retina or the optic nerve, and both are part of the central nervous system. The retina is really an extension of the brain, and the optic nerve is how those neurons get from the brain to the retina. So it's all brain.
And by the way, I never thought of it like that until I had LASIK 20 years ago. And my eyesight, matter of fact, we were talking about that off camera. I'm going to share this experience real quick. So I had LASIK surgery 20 years ago, which was a long time ago. It's come even further since then. Yeah, for sure. But I remember I did it, and back then, now the results are almost instant, but back then it wasn't. So what they would do is they did the work on me. It took maybe 20 minutes, maybe a half hour, and then they put these covers on my eyes, and somebody had to take me home, and then I just went to bed. And the next morning I woke up and I walked to the window and I took these shields off of my eyes, and all of a sudden I could see perfectly, whereas before I couldn't see anything without my glasses. And in that moment, I was like, we are absolutely living in the future. This is straight out of a science fiction movie. And LASIK is something I think a lot of us take for granted, maybe not, but we're used to it. It's been around for a long time. But I literally was like, oh my God, this is the future. And I think we all kind of feel like now, like we are living in a sci-fi movie with AI and so on and so forth. You can see how fast things are moving now. But 20 years ago, it was that moment. That was a defining moment for me when I was like, oh my God, we are living in the future. It's unbelievable. And you were saying off camera that you still kind of experience that with your patients. Like you kind of get to see it, relive it vicariously every time you do a surgery, right?
Yeah, I mean, I started doing this. I was one of the first in the Eastern Seaboard. I was in Philadelphia at the time, and did one of the first cases where we were using this laser originally to get rid of scars in the cornea, and then it became refractive surgery. So I've been doing it since then, and to this day, whenever I do that procedure, and I do it every week, I still feel it's magical. It's futuristic.
It is absolutely magical.
Yeah.
And the one thing I was going to say too, I lost my train of thought, but you had said that it's the brain, and I realized that because when I had the work done, I did have a little bit of a complication where my eyes would defocus a little bit, and I would catch a little bit of refractions at nighttime from the lights. And they told me, your brain will get used to it, and then it'll go away, and it did. And then I was like, oh, I never even made that connection. I didn't really think of it like that. So we're going to come back, talk more about this. We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away. Investing and philanthropy, two things that are very close to my heart. You know, they seem worlds apart, right? But imagine this. What if you could blend them seamlessly into one? Well, guess what? You can with Philanthro Investors. They're not just merging the worlds of giving and investing, they're pioneers linking passionate philanthropists and socially responsible investors with game-changing enterprises. How awesome is that? Doing good while doing well for others. Ready to learn more? Head over to philanthroinvestors.com or call 727-337-7729. Mention the broadcast to receive their special white glove service only available to our listeners. Philanthro Investors, shaping a better world, one investment at a time. If you're looking for an event space, a wedding venue, or a gorgeous getaway, let me introduce you to the Aqua Marina Beach Club, a no-kids beach club oasis in Rincon. This gorgeous property includes a boutique hotel with 15 beautiful guest rooms, rooftop lounge, 360 view, swim-up pool bar, event spaces, coffee shop and gelateria, and a stellar restaurant. All just a few steps from the beach. I love this place. I've thrown parties and networking mixers at their pool bar, great cocktails, beautiful ambiance. I've booked rooms in the hotel for several relaxing staycations. To learn more, you can visit aquamarinabeachclub.com or call 787-823-2593 to book a stay. And don't forget to mention the broadcast to grab an exclusive 20% discount. Aqua Marina Beach Club in Rincon. Welcome back to the broadcast. We have Dr. Ernesto Collazo. We're talking about everything ojos, everything eyes. So where were we? We were talking about
how the three main causes of blindness are diabetic retinopathy, macular degeneration, and glaucoma. And again, since they are affecting a part of the brain does not regenerate, unfortunately. We don't know how to get that to happen. So when you have an eye disease and you lose vision, you lost it forever. All we can do is stop it and kind of so that you can keep whatever's left.
But if we're on top of this, we can dramatically slow down and or stop some of these things from happening?
We can actually stop all of them from advancing. So the sooner you diagnose this, the better for the patient.
So let's talk.
Because there are no symptoms. That's the problem. So when the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness did a 10-year study from 2000 to 2010, looking at the worldwide incidence of blindness, and they realized that it had doubled in the 21st century. How could that possibly? We've had
Should
treatment.
be getting better.
We've had treatment for all three, definitive treatment, for decades. But again, with the eye, once you have damage, all we can do is stop it. whatever you lost, you never get back. And most people, by the time they have symptoms, they're already basically legally blind from any of these three conditions. So what they decided to do is recommend, they did a campaign called Vision 2020, the Right to Sight, along with the World Health Organization. And basically did an educational campaign letting the ophthalmology community know what was going on, and recommending that we started doing a study that could be done preventatively every year on every patient, and that could diagnose these three conditions early on before there was loss of vision. This was in 2011. The goal was by 2020, eliminate preventable blindness altogether. We haven't quite gotten there, but we've done very, very well.
It's made a big difference.
It's made a huge difference. So nowadays what we do is we do the study. You had it when you went to my office. It's a very quick study. It's a scan of the retina. And that allows us to diagnose any of those three conditions before there's loss of vision. And then we can actually do the treatment and prevent you from ever losing your vision. And there's treatment for all of them. It's just that it has to be done early.
You just have to go. You just have to go on a regular basis to the eye doctor, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. And if you don't, I mean, you could go blind in your older age, and that would just suck.
especially when it could have been prevented.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really what's, for me, it's heartbreaking when it happens, when somebody shows up to my office and they already have their damage.
It's like too late. Yeah,
it's heartbreaking, and unfortunately, most people think, I don't want to know about it. Well, you're going to find out about it eventually.
Yeah, in this scenario, ignorance is not bliss.
No. Early knowledge is prevention, is protection. You can prevent it. If you catch it early, you will never go blind from any of those three conditions. So you're going to find out eventually. Might as well be early when we can do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll share a story with you that I shared with you when I was in the seat at your office, but you probably don't remember because you see a lot of patients. But several years ago, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, I went to an eye appointment. This was in the States, and they told me, and I probably will get this wrong, I'm paraphrasing, but that my lens was thinning.
Okay.
And that I ran a higher than normal risk of getting, was it
keratoconus?
Keratoconus. Would that sound about right?
Yeah. The cornea was thinning.
The cornea was thinning.
And you run a risk of a condition where that becomes progressive and the cornea becomes irregular.
Right, exactly. And so they told me that, and I was like, what? And I thought I'm getting older now, but I was like, gosh, I'm pretty young. I was like really bummed out to hear that. And they said, oh, don't worry. We have a supplement, an eye supplement that we can give you. And within 90 days, we should begin to see it actually heal or get thicker, I guess. Again, the density would get bigger.
Stabilize it.
Okay. And you should see within about 90 days. And we've had so much success with it. Nobody's ever had it not work. And if it doesn't work, they'll even refund your money. And I was like, oh, great. Okay, so I'll take the supplements. So I went home. I took the supplements diligently. I'm a big pill popper. I take vitamins. So I took them diligently for 90 days. And I went back to the eye doctor, and it didn't do anything. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And I was so bummed about it. I got my money back, but I didn't care. I wanted to get,
You wanted to be better. You wanted the problem to go away.
Absolutely. And so what I did is I went on Amazon, and I found a supplement. And I just started taking it. I was like, well, I'm just going to start taking this. Hopefully it does something. And then I think I waited a couple years. I probably should have done that. And I went back to the eye doctor, and it had worked. It had actually brought it back, and I was back to normal. And actually, when you and I were talking, I showed you the supplement, and you're like, I don't think that supplement would really do it. But we determined that it was probably the fish oil that I started taking at the same time. Yeah, which is really does so many great things.
Yeah. Fish oil it's extremely helpful in the visual system for dry eye. It helps basically the whole anterior part of the eye does so much better when you use fish oil. That obviously has effects in the central nervous system and in cardiac system.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah, it's anybody who doesn't take fish oil, good quality fish oil, should really reconsider.
Yeah, fish oil has done wonders for me, actually. Yeah, it's a super anti-inflammatory.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Gosh, I could share another story about that, but too many stories about me. Okay, so I was going to ask you, what can a person do? What are some of the best things they can do, best practices to retain their eyesight and make it stronger, if that's possible?
Yeah. Nutrition, of course, is the most important thing. Green leafy vegetables, which are anti-inflammatory,
I don't eat enough of,
are very helpful for the health of the retina. No smoking. Smoking is horrible for the eyes.
Okay.
People don't even think about that. They think smoking for the lungs and even the heart. For the retina is terrible. So
How about
obviously-
cigar smoking?
Cigars, actually, you don't inhale
Not as
cigars.
bad, right.
So it's a different thing. Yeah, I smoke cigars.
I do too.
Yeah. And
I don't smoke a lot of them. I smoke a few a month, but
Yeah,
I love
a
cigars.
cigar is like having, a little bit of cognac or
I
something.
totally agree
It's
with you.
really for the taste. You're not getting drunk of that stuff, so
Exactly.
you're not inhaling cigars. So
have to
that's
grab a
that's
cigar
different
sometime.
things. Exactly.
Yeah.
So no. But vaping, for example, is just as bad as
Yeah.
smoking because you're inhaling
Sure.
all these toxic chemicals. So and like again, people don't think about it, but yeah, that's terrible for the eyes. So good nutrition in terms of supplementation. Again, omega-3s are very important, which are the fish oils. And the reason those are important is because omega-6 and 9s are pro-inflammatory, so omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. And we take a lot of omega-6 and 9s in our regular diet.
In like refined foods.
Exactly.
Yeah, processed foods.
And their balance should be like 1 to 3.
Yeah.
And we're usually taking 20 times as much omega-6 and 9 as 3. So you need to supplement 3 to
Right.
balance it out.
Right.
And so that's very important. Vitamins, the most important for the eye are A, C, and E. So any kind of supplement that has those are good. And antioxidants. A diet that's good with antioxidants, or just take antioxidants separately. Usually for the eye, lutein and zeaxanthin are the two antioxidant proteins that the retina produces. But if it doesn't produce enough, then you can supplement those. But with a good diet, you don't really need to worry about those so much. That's why the green leafy vegetables are helpful. But yeah, vitamins A, C, and E, and omega-3s are really critical. Nutrition and physical activity for every organ in the body make a huge difference.
Right.
The thing is, the eyes are how people say the eyes are the window to the soul.
Right.
Well, 70% of the information your brain processes about what's going on around you is your visual information. So the other senses together contribute 30% of what your brain needs for sense of awareness and fulfillment and enjoyment and talking to others, things like that. So important.
So my diet isn't that great, but I do take a lot of vitamins and I actually saw the results, so it's pretty exciting. So what about one problem that plagues a lot of people as they get into their, we'll say, slightly older years, which is something I'm experiencing, is becoming farsighted, not being able to see the bill when I'm going to pay for dinner.
Right.
Is there anything you could do about that besides supplementation? I'm just curious.
Well, actually, for the answer to that, until very recently, has been no.
Okay.
Forever. The reason that happens is our natural lens inside the eye is a bag of protein, and it is the only part of the eye that doesn't stop growing. The rest of the eye reaches adult size at age 3.
Okay.
So from that point on, that lens is growing in a limited space, and it becomes compressed. That lens is flexible when you're born, and it can change shape to focus it near, but it loses that ability as it hardens over time.
Okay.
The reason that happens is there's hydrogen bonds between the collagen molecules in the lens that form over time. There is a drop that's in the latest phases of FDA trials that
I've heard about
dissolves the
this.
hydrogen bonds, and that would return that lens natural elasticity, and you'll be able to focus it near again. So
That's
it's on its way.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome. And we have to cut away for a break, but real quick question for you. Two quick questions. One is I've heard that doing LASIK can accelerate that process later in life. Is that true, or is that a wives' tale? I'd heard that it was a wives' tale also.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not true. And then also, let's say you've done LASIK, like I did 20 years ago. Of course, I'm going to wait for the drops, but is there a procedure I could do to actually fix the farsightedness, i.e. seeing close?
Right. No.
Yeah.
Because it's a different part of the eye.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So it's a different process, different part of the eye.
Yep.
It's apples and oranges.
Got it. That's it. Okay. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Dr. Ernesto Collazo. Don't go away. If you're a business owner, listen up. This is a drum I've been beating for decades now. If you aren't outsourcing your business processes like sales, customer support, marketing, lead generation, etc., you're leaving so much money on the table. Consider trying out mVision BPO call center and staffing. This company is unique. Their staff is unlike any other offshore firm, with cherry-picked, overqualified agents who speak perfect English, sound American, and even understand understand U.S. culture as well. If you know me, you know that I built and ran an outsourcing company for years, so I know a great outsourcing company when I see one. To see all the reasons why mVision is the hidden gem in outsourcing, visit their website at mvisionusa.com. On the site, you'll see videos of their agents speaking perfect English. You won't believe they're offshore. Plus, they're offering exclusive credit packages and 2 weeks of free onboarding to listeners of the broadcast. mVision, outsourcing done right. Are you or someone you know dreaming of the perfect smile? Why not do it in paradise? PR USA Dental Tourism is fixing teeth and changing lives here in Puerto Rico. Did you know that you can have cosmetic dentistry done by U.S. board certified and trained dentists at a fraction of the price of what you pay in the States, up to 70%? A few months ago, I went in for a little bit of work, and I have to say, it was the best dentist experience of my life, not just in Puerto Rico, but ever. Incredible service, state-of-the-art facilities, clean, professional, inviting, and fast. Their dentists are skilled, USA trained, board certified, and proud members of the ADA. Visit their website at pr-usadentaltourism.com or give them a call at 787-402-4545 to schedule your consultation. Mention the broadcast to receive a free x-ray and cleaning on your first visit. Your healthier, happier smile awaits. Welcome back to the broadcast. We're talking about everything eyes with Dr. Ernesto Collazo, and this has been great. And now I want to talk to you about a passion project that you already know about because we've been talking about this, but I thought this would be cool to share with the audience. And audience, I would love to get your feedback. So depending on where you're watching this, please give us some feedback, whether it's iTunes or any particular network, YouTube, whatever. I want to get your thoughts on this. So about 5 years ago, when I first moved to the island, just after Maria, I started a little group called the San Juan Social Club. And it was a very unsophisticated model with a very sophisticated purpose. And essentially, I do an event once a month across the island. Everybody's welcome to it. And we do these events. They're typically free. We do them at curated locations across the island. And it's just for Puerto Ricans and transplants like me to get together, have drinks, food, conversation. Very unsophisticated. But the reason why I made it simple like that is because when it comes to, hey, let's grab a bite or a cigar or a cocktail, it's frictionless. Nobody's going to say, oh, I don't drink, I don't eat, right? And from there, everything's possible. And I've enjoyed doing it. We now have over 1,000 members of the San Juan Social Club, which is cool. And I recently announced we're going to do our first cruise. We're doing a group cruise on Virgin next year, the San Juan Social Club cruise. We already have 250 people booked, amazing thought leaders from all over the island. And we've got some exceptional speakers and just a very high level group of awesome movers and shakers on the island. I'm excited about it. I've pledged the ticket sale profits to charity. We're doing this in partnership with the Partnership for Modern Puerto Rico, which is a nonprofit. But essentially, if we do nothing, we'll end up taking that money and giving it to various charities across the island. But as you know, I have a big, hairy, audacious goal, and I've shared this with you already. We've been in communications talking about this. So a while back, I saw a video by Mr. Beast. Many of you might know who Mr. Beast is, especially if you're younger. If you're older, you may not know who Mr. Beast is. Mr. Beast is Jimmy Donaldson. He's in his mid-20s. He is the #1 YouTuber in the world. He makes $60 million a year just from his channel alone. That pales in comparison to probably some of the other money he makes. He's just an amazing guy. And he does some incredible videos. If you've never seen a Mr. Beast video, make sure you watch them because they were super cool. But he is also very dedicated to philanthropy. And a while back, he did a video where he gave 1,000 people back their eyesight. And when I saw this video, I was mind blown. Of course, I shared it with you, and you liked the video, but you weren't mind blown because you knew this, obviously. Yes. And let me explain. So there are gazillions of people globally that have lost their vision. And because they don't have the money or the resources or the knowledge, they don't know that I thought it was a 20-minute procedure, but it's a 10-minute procedure will give them back their eyesight. And why is that? What do they have? What's going on?
Cataracts
Cataracts.
is really the number one cause of blindness worldwide,
Yeah.
which is crazy because it's completely curable in a 10-minute procedure. So
It's insane.
makes no sense.
And tell us about that procedure. What do you do?
So when you get a cataract, is the process I mentioned before that our lens never stops growing. That makes it eventually turn cloudy. So it's part of how we age, which means everybody, with rare exceptions, gets cataracts. Some people are earlier, some people later. When it gets to the point where it's limiting your ability to do the things you like to do when it affects your lifestyle, then you should consider surgery. Now, some people don't have insurance or have insurance, they're underinsured. More and more people are buying the kind of insurance that just for catastrophic insurance because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Again, that's things like that are not covered because they're elective. And they end up not having it until they're basically blind.
Yeah.
The problem is you get to a point where you get glare at night, so the chances of an accident, a car accident, go up. People fall and break their hips, and if you're of an advanced age, that may be the last thing your last mistake.
Yeah, because once you kind of break, as an older person, you start breaking those major bones. It's like everything's downhill.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it can have serious consequences for you and other people.
Yep.
You become dangerous to yourself and others, really.
Yeah. You have to become dependent on others too.
Exactly.
None of us really want to do that.
So and again, it affects how you relate to the world because
Absolutely.
you're no longer seeing well enough to this. Like I said before, 70% of how you perceive the world is through vision.
That's right.
So a lot of people, more than you would think, don't have access. They either live far away from a city or they are in a city, but they don't have insurance and they don't have enough money. There's also not that many eye doctors.
Yeah, you were talking about that, the ratios, and can you
The
explain
number
that
of eye
here in
doctors
Puerto
hasn't
Rico?
increased in the last 25 years because the number of residency programs hasn't increased. So residency programs graduate a number of residents a year. In ophthalmology, it's 3, 4, 5 in most cases. And again, those programs are either the same or have disappeared, some of them. And so you have a limited number of eye doctors and a very fast-growing population, especially in that age group.
Yep.
More and more people are of advanced age.
And of course, those doctors gravitate to the metropolitan areas.
Exactly.
Yep.
So they're concentrated in major metropolitan areas. So again, the access to care is less and less simply by just looking at the numbers. Then you have the financial issues of people who are in the middle class, and more of the middle class because of the income inequalities. They're making the same amount of money, but the price of goods goes up by the consumer price index, with inflation. So your buying power is less, including buying power for medical things. So a lot of people just simply forego this until they're really blind.
Yeah.
And the number of cases goes up and up every year.
Yeah. And we were talking about too, like, here on the island, 70% of the people on the island are below the poverty line.
Correct.
And there are even people, who, let's say they're making $100,000 a year. If you subtract the income tax they pay, we have the highest sales tax rate in the nation. And you had informed me, this I didn't know, is it was created originally because they were going to get rid of income tax, but then that didn't go away.
Yeah, there's always been, like in many countries, there's an underground economy that's based on cash.
Right.
A lot of people, people who sell hot dogs, people who do work at home.
Yeah.
Those people don't report income tax, and that's a huge segment of the population. Yeah. So this was a way to say, okay, listen, I'm not gonna be able to ever have the ability to go after these people. Mm-hmm. It's too ingrained. I don't have enough people in our IRS offices. So let's just go to let them pay at the pump. We'll do a value-added tax. You pay at the pump, and then we don't need an income tax.
Which they should do in the States too. Oh my gosh!
I mean, it's ideal that way. Everybody pays. They're and you pay by how much you consume.
Yeah, and then you could get rid of hundreds of thousands of IRS employees that you get rid of amounts of red tape.
So, but unfortunately, once they got the EVU, they never did away with income tax. So now you pay. If you're in the 33%. Bracket, that means you're paying 33% plus 11.7%. That's really 45% income tax.
Yep.
So if you make $100,000, you really take home less than $50,000.
Yeah, and now you can, and also the fact that we live on an island where everything is more expensive because it has to be imported in. Plus, you have the Jones Act. Plus, we are suffering these days worldwide, globally, from super high inflation. So it's challenging times. Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, so I digress. So we basically, so I had this idea. I was inspired by Mr. Beast, and I want to create something here. This is early stage, but I want to tell you all about it here. You can hold me accountable. I want to create something here called Eyes Over Puerto Rico, and I essentially want to give eyesight back to people in Puerto Rico. I want to take that exact same model that Mr. Beast did and do it here in Puerto Rico, and I think it'll be amazing. And we're talking to some great people, see if we can get some volunteers on board and so on and so forth. And ideally, the idea is, as we do this, we'll get a lot of attention. More eyeballs will equal more dollars, which will equal more eyeballs. So that's really the plan. So I appreciate your help with the project.
Oh, yeah, happy to help.
Yeah, thank you so
Very
much.
happy to be involved.
All right, so we're just about out of time. Dr. Ernesto Collazo, I want to thank you so much for being with us. I learned even more today, so thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and we'll see you next time on the Puerto Rico Business Broadcast. If you're enjoying the broadcast, make sure to give us a 5-star rating wherever you're seeing us, and make sure to subscribe. We'll see you next time.